Hi everyone, it's Natalie here. Habaragani, Imani. Imani means faith. So today is technically not day 7 of Kwanzaa, but it is day 7 of Kwanzaa for me. I like to give, I've derived tremendous value from really giving each principle of Kwanzaa its own like full day just to contemplate. Fortunately, today I've had more time than I have in the last few days to really sit with this and be with it. And I'm hearing my dog need help with something, so I'm going to be right back. Okay, so yeah, my dog is having some disability and old age, so there's just a lot of adjustment while we adapt, really. So faith. So unsurprisingly, as all of the prompts this year have done, the concept of faith has definitely is challenged my own conditioning, which is really, it's the reason why I definitely wanted to try this last year. And I really wanted to get out of a Western white centric conditioning and mindset. So last year I worked with the Orisha Tarot by Andrew McGregor, and it was okay. It's a beautiful deck. The experience was great. I thought it was really impactful until until this year, when I worked with decks that were created by Black creators. I think Andrew McGregor is white and practices in a West African tradition. But yeah, this has been, working especially, well, all 3 decks, actually, all 3. Right now, Dust to Onyx is blowing my mind wide open and my heart. And so I brought it back for today's reading. The other 2 decks that I've worked with are the Tarot of the Moors and the Hoodoo Tarot, 2 that I've really grown to love and trust over the last year. Well, not really. Last 6 months, I guess. It's probably been about 6 or 8 months since I've been working with those decks, and they've really taught me a lot. So I've got all of the cards laid out. I did not flip them over today. I think it's because I forgot. In truth, I think I just completely forgot. So they're all laid out. So we'll just talk about them one by one, like I have the last couple days. So card 1, how strong is my faith in myself? So that came out as the 3 of Coins. Love the 3 of Coins in this deck. Like, I love all of them, and but this one puts such a great emphasis on the kind of heights we reach when we're not working alone. It highlights collaboration and the potential that collaboration brings. And yet, unsurprisingly, I'm not 100% sure, even with Courtney's glorious interpretation of this card and writing about it. I'm not 100% sure, what this is saying exactly. Surely the viewer may conjecture about that, but I think I think what I could say here is that my faith in myself this year has been tested. The last year it has been tested deeply. I've called my own Um, I've called everything about myself into question at least once. Um, it's been tested. When I think about what is faith in myself, it probably differs a little bit from most people in that as a Buddhist, it's very much informed by that. And Buddhists look at faith in oneself, true faith in oneself, as having faith in one's innate goodness, right? Um, all Buddhists believe in each of us being a Buddha. So to have faith in oneself is to have faith in your true nature as a Buddha, which I can tell you from my own experience, really most of the time spends its time in shadow, right? We're not really prepared to accept that through our conditioning. And really, where we are prepared to accept that, frequently it's through something unhealthy, that's narcissistic or that involves a lot of spiritual bypassing. So uncovering it and discovering it and finding it is a process that is really, it's a lot. Let's put it this way. I spent an hour reflecting on what that is, how that functions, how it's related to the ego. I mean, all of these things. And then again, how it all relates, to the other prompts. I mean, it's been a deep contemplation. Yeah. Today, I feel like this Three of Coins is a way of saying, without, I feel like I've come out into a place where I have a lot of faith in myself, and I feel like that faith arises through what we refer to in Chud, in the Buddhist practice that I'm heavily engrossed in right now, which is ultimately about compassion, but it's also about the severance of the ego through creating conditions that are, well, I have a snakeskin drum that I work with, and it represents, that's the friction that's required to, and this, interestingly, this basket to me looks a little bit like a snakeskin, but it that kind of friction requires you. It requires you to, you shed your skin. And it strips the scales off and leaves you vulnerable. And you can't always do that without other people. They will sometimes provide those circumstances. So, I suppose, even though I haven't fully done this yet, I could really embrace some of the experiences that I had with my client families, with my client family, because those really, that experience really was, it was the practice of dulshuk. And dulshuk in Tibetan, it means, like, it's the kind of conditions that create so much pressure and friction that something has to change, that transformation has to happen, or tension, it's the tension created. That intensity of that experience was just, was shocking. So it was a lot. It was a lot. Yeah. So, that I think I could say that the faith in myself has been elevated through the practice of shedding that skin and becoming more vulnerable in the process. Yeah. I can tell this is going to be long today again. So how strong is my faith in my family? Very strong, very, very strong. And this last year, it's the sun. This last year really, really put things in perspective, I think, with my family because of COVID, and because of stepping in to help with my godmother in Oklahoma. Um, that it overturned, it forced my mother into a place of being a lot more filled with humility, which is something that she really struggles with on every possible level. She's a Leo too, so this sun, it's kind of, and it's a woman, that kind of tells me about mother. Um, that's it's a difficult relationship. She and I've had a really hard relationship because my authenticity is something that she really battles. She really, I think she would really love it, or would have really loved it at a certain point, if I could have just maintained all of the superficial structures and appearances and so forth that made her feel more comfortable. And I'm not willing to do that. I just can't. It's not who I am, and it's not how I'm structured, even though I spent a lot of the first half of my life living in that place. And because I've been willing, I mean, I've continued again, Dulshuk, right? There's been plenty of Dulshuk that's come up with my mother. I mean, I can't even, I could, but I won't. I could go into a lot of the details. It would take a very long time, and that's not what we're here for. But suffice it to say, she has done everything possible to obstruct a lot of my ability to move forward and be on my own and be who I am without her somehow controlling it. And I continued through therapy. I continued through all kinds of different methods of continuing to show up, forcing myself into showing up, and to working harder on that relationship, seeing progress, seeing it backfire, to have finally, I think, gotten to a point with her where the trust is there. It's there, and it's mutual. And it's made her more authentic, and it's made her more available. She's softened and become so much more gentle, and vulnerable. I think watching her best friend go through dementia and being like the primary person that my godmother calls and trusts has completely changed her. Yeah, in a really good way, and it's caused her to appreciate me a lot more. And somehow, because she's such a matriarch, it has opened the space for my dad to just kind of settle where he's always been, which is that he tends to just accept me very unconditionally, unless my mom is influencing it. And my sister, I think they talk about stuff a lot. They definitely talk about me a lot. And, that whole dialogue between them seems to have shifted, because I sense in my relationship with the two of them how there's a dynamic that's no longer there. It's just been broken down. So yeah, my faith in my family has been restored to something that is really pure and genuine, and which I can celebrate, but from a completely different place, without any dependence, just with a sense of joy. So card 3, prompt 3, this one spat 2 out, is how strong is my faith in my community? This is interesting. So we have Young Coin again, and Young Coin was with us yesterday. And then we have the 7 of Staffs, right? Which is about, without even seeing what Courtney has to write about it, is very much about having something to defend. And I will say that's true. And yet, Young Coin, or the Knight of Coins, is about showing up anyway, and about staying present, and about being here and not giving up. a certain, I think there's a certain degree. We're gonna pull the book. I bookmarked all of the ones from today as well. This card is challenging you to stand your ground, to be immovable, and to maintain what you have built thus far. There may be challenges and disagreements that are calling for you to be assertive. Remain confident in your own expertise. This can be a difficult aspect for those of us who are more passive or lack assertiveness. And I can be more passive sometimes, and I can lack assertiveness. That's absolutely true. I don't like conflict. I will engage it. I will absolutely engage it, but I really don't like it. I especially don't like conflict where there's a lot of wounds involved. I don't want to have conflict with someone whose wounding is really in a lot of pain. Or conflict where I don't quite understand why I'm included in it or where it came from. Or what I did to on my part to create conflict. And sometimes you don't have to do anything. You're just in the right place at the right time. I've often found that I've been in a lot of situations in my life where maybe all I'm doing is standing there, but somehow I become the scapegoat in the room. I'm completely serious. That has happened a lot. I don't feel like that's happened in our community, or in any community outside of YouTube or the the internet world that I'm a part of. I definitely don't feel that way. I think I've spent a fair bit of time, not just here, but then in other places. Yeah, I've been in that place with the doulas. I've been in this place with not so much with the Buddhists. That's really not been a thing for once, which is nice. Definitely with client family. I mean, there's been a lot of that where there's something to defend. I'm having to stop and become really assertive when I don't want to. In the same paragraph, it's the final paragraph here. It says it can become a very overwhelming time since so many energies are directed at you. It's easy to feel small and cornered. Finding your center and rooting yourself in it will provide the anchor and strength necessary to increase your security and confidence. Yeah, which is why when I was dealing with my client family, I had to take a break because I had to have enough wherewithal to do this without any distraction. Yeah, I had a lot. There was a lot. There was a lot all happening at once. It was, and this is what it required to get through that was sitting in that space as young coin. Let's look at young coin again. I have them bookmarked as well. Dependability, diligence, faithfulness, perseverance. Young coin has an incredible focus, is meditative, and is fully present in whatever task they're involved in. Yeah, I mean that is true. And yeah, and yet, and being, I think it's hard to explain the amount of multitasking because Courtney goes on to mention how good young coin is at multitasking. This to me is all the tasks that were coming up this year as a doula, and then trying to multitask, keeping up with tarot reading, family, home life, partner. It was intense. It was really intense. So how strong is my faith? I would say, that my faith has been really challenged, with community and with with all community. And yet, I feel like the young coin is here to say that that's actually remained very strong. I mean, look at their eyes. Um, I mean, we're human, guys. We're all human. We're all human. We're all gonna hurt one another. We're all gonna hurt ourselves from time to time. Um, and this is the process. There's always the story, this Dharma story that I loved when I was in seminary about porcupines and the winter, and how in order to find some warmth through the winter, you sometimes have to gather close to one another to feel and share warmth, and that means you're gonna have to put up with a few pricks, right? I've always really loved that analogy. I think it's funny, but that's it. We're gonna have to learn. In a community, you learn to put up with everyone, warts and all, right? And then you figure out those moments when you have something to defend or you have to stand up for yourself and hold your ground, and you do it where you need to. And then, you open the space back up, but you endure, you stay present. So I would say that really my faith in the community, or in any community, in my community, in any community I participate in, is really as strong as my ability to remain present with it. And often, to see how it transforms. This is something that just occurred to me after there has been a moment of seven of wands, seven of staffs, because that tells you so much, right? Some of the most beautiful friendships or professional relationships that I've ever had have come about as the result of conflict that was well managed. And I really value that, because there's honesty, there's the establishing of boundaries, there's got to be authenticity, and you see how people are tested and what they come back with. It's never comfortable, ever, but I think what I find depressing and sad. So there may be some sadness and depression coming through, in my voice. While I continue to love and value the client family that I worked with in some way, I am still unresolved. This is still sticking in my throat. Literally, as I say that, I can feel something, in my throat that gives me discomfort that I don't like. It did not create greater growth. It was, I still feel like I can call my client's wife, and that remains a really beautiful relationship. But the family member with whom I had such conflict, that is still with me. Yeah. I don't feel that anywhere else, though. I don't feel that with the doula group that I have. We had some moments of conflict around a number of things, but around a little bit around talking about race. That was hard. Worth doing. They came out on the other side of it. It was beautiful. The YouTube community, not so much. I mean, that's a much easier space to resolve, because I wasn't that involved in a lot of conflict. I was present for some. I've been present online, watching and observing. And I have faith. Yeah, being present, watching and observing. And I have faith. I have great faith in our ability to move forward, in everyone's ability to move forward. And as I look at these two cards with respect to the community, I would imagine are going to be some times like this coming up. I reached that point over the summer where I had to stop. I couldn't keep up with it from all sides. It just wasn't feasible. And it was like, okay, if I have to stop somewhere, this is the only place where I can put something down. But I never went away. I was still like watching, listening, holding space, taking in, where I could. So I may not have been making content, but I was definitely taking it in, even if I wasn't commenting. I was definitely still there to some degree. So moving on to number 4. So we take a shift, right? So I'm going to move our computer. Okay, so I move the computer because we shift from here to here for the final 4 cards. And card number 4 is, how do I encourage family and community to grow? And this one came out as the 10 of Gourds. And I feel like this one is about it's about pouring in again, pouring into the community, pouring insights, shareable insights, blessings. There's something in here too about belief for me, encouraging. You can do so much when someone believes that you can. When just one person believes that you're capable, that you're clever, that you're smart, that your success is inevitable, that really feels right. Wow. I reread the description. This is a description I'm pretty familiar with because this card has come up for me quite a bit in the last month or so, and definitely in the last week. But yeah, I hadn't considered it that way till just now. But belief. And when I read for people, when I talk to people, what I'm always drawn to in someone else, it's always the first thing that I see actually is how I tend to see their gifts. I see their gifts. I see their blessings. And I think it's so critical to name those to people. They may not see them themselves, right? We're not always good at seeing our own blessings or gifts or talents. And the world is going to tell you every time what your deficits are. As a teacher, I never found that to be particularly constructive most of the time because the students that I was working with in the population that I had, for the most part, were being perpetually made aware of their deficits and saw themselves as nothing but a giant walking deficit of some description. It was kind of heartbreaking at moments. But the truth of the matter is that, when you can offer people in further, when you can tell them remind them of what their gifts are, of their talents, of their uniqueness, of their beauty that's innate. It really can create growth that's amazing. I think at some point as an adult, I just gave up on trying to pretend that I was normal. That what I see in people is their new outfit or their what but what I'm looking at them. They're beautiful. I tend to smile at people very deeply because what I'm seeing is how beautiful they are, and it's always so striking and wonderful. But yeah, to name that and just tell people, and not in a way that's creepy or makes them uncomfortable, hopefully, but naming it's really crucial for growth. God, I love this deck. I tell you, this deck and I this has become one of my new advisors, like in terms of your close counsel. The ones that you can turn to because you can trust that they will give you the truth, that they will tell you what's what, all of that. This deck has really stepped into that position this year, and especially over the last week. You want, if you're a leader of some kind of organization, you want advisors that will tell you the truth, even if you don't want to hear it, or that will change your perspective on things, or offer a perspective you don't have. And this deck really does that, and it does it in a way that I can really, I don't know, it opens me up in ways that few decks really do. So, moving on, number 5. How do I encourage family and community to value accomplishment and success? This is fascinating. Papa Staff. So a combination of James Brown. Just got to pull up Papa Staff here. Combination of James Brown and Teak Milan. So, oh, beautiful. So James Brown, I love James Brown. I don't really care what people think. I just do my own thing. I like being loud and letting people know I'm there. That's James Brown. Teak Milan says, I live my life really out loud. I'm out as trans. I'm really out and proud as trans. I do all of this because I believe that being visible and doing this work means that I can be a model of possibility for somebody else. Wow. So when Papa Staff's heart and emotions are well balanced, his display of love and protection for his family and community is unparalleled. So how do I encourage family and community to value accomplishment and success? I think it's through a different model of what we think of as accomplishment and success. To me, this is accomplishment and success. To be able to say, when my heart and emotions are well balanced, my display of love and protection for my family and community is unparalleled. To me, that is an accomplishment. That is success. So I think I encourage my family and community to reconsider what it is that they value and what it is that they regard as being successful or being an accomplishment. If being more authentic, more loving, more able to follow your own truth and path, even if it flies in the face of everything that your family or my immediate community would want for me, then that's good, right? And if you can remain loving despite everything that happens to us as people, which is always going to be really hard, right? It just is. There's something to be said for that. Again, this is not a perspective of success that's very white or Western, but it is my perspective of success. Why I love this deck is because I can see very clearly that this too could be valuable as success from this worldview. Papa Staff steps in to increase perception and intuition and to bring a warm, generous spirit to the fore. There may be some unexpected shifts that Papa Staff is able to handle thanks to his strength and versatility. Whatever difficulties may arise, this is the time to take action to resolve them instead of letting them build up and fester. This may require the shedding of old beliefs and habits that no longer serve the cause. Wow. To be a great leader requires balance between adaptability and groundedness. If you or someone else is exhibiting toxic behavior in an effort to exert power, then it's time to purge and set things on a brighter path once again. Yeah, I mean, that doing that is its own form of accomplishment and success. This is a beautiful way of saying, the way that we each respond to difficult conditions, the way that we bounce back or recover is a form of accomplishment and a form of success. And, we forget how much can be taught or encouraged or, offered just simply through being willing to live through an example or live as an example that's embodied. Yeah. And that takes us to number 6. This was not a surprise to me. How do I encourage family and community to keep commitments? The emerging one came through, and I feel the words just poured, right into my head, by leading, by keeping commitments on my own path. By keeping them myself. I'm leading by example, by being willing to be vulnerable, to be honest, authentic, walk my path with that honesty. Admit when I screw up. That's a big one. Take responsibility. I mean, I'm very, very, very capable of screwing things up. Very. And I have, and I will continue to, because, human. But being willing to stay truthful and true to that path and keep walking it, is how apparently it's how I encourage my family and community to keep their commitments, Yeah. We watch each other, don't we? We all do. And finally, how do I encourage family and community to stay on purpose? Through death. This is a wonderful death card. It really, what I see here, and I'm going to have to move my cup of tea so I don't risk my deck in any way, but what I'm seeing is like when you pick up someone's head like this, and you're holding that to look at them and to like look into their eyes, that's what I see with this hand, that's gloved and beautiful with the, that even in the ugliness here, that there's still beauty. Maybe that's it. I don't know. That's what I'm seeing. So maybe to stay on purpose, by seeing the beauty in transition, holding transition. I don't know, holding something uncomfortable. Holding something that's ugly or uncomfortable as though it's precious, I think is what I'm seeing here. I think too, there's that's I'm just adding that to the pile here. Of course I've read the book because I always do. I think it's in part, let's see, how do I encourage my family and community to stay on purpose? I think it's through my example again, by being willing to look at death, to talk about death, to consider that, what we say and do really matters. When we think about our purpose, we have to think in terms of like, what will be left when I'm not here? Right? And what matters, even if there's nothing left. And in my own way, I kind of hope that when I'm dead, and I'm gone, that there's nothing left. But that's going to take like offloading a lot of stuff and resolving a lot of things first. But, you know, I don't want there to be a grave marker. I don't want anything to remain. I just want it to be gone. You know, there should just be the whisper of a memory. Because what I hope is living on, I hope it's living through other people. You know, I want that to live on. But that keeps me on purpose. You know, that means that what I contribute or what I put out there has to be on purpose. So I guess I encourage family and community to stay on purpose through that reminder that, like, one day we're not going to be here. You know, what really matters? What matters? What's your purpose? What is it that you need to do? Because let me tell you, remodeling that kitchen may feel like it's really important, or, you know, keeping tabs on those neighbors across the way that, you know, that you don't like the way they're doing stuff and whatever. I can't stand suburban life. I have a family member that's perpetually looking at what are the neighbors doing, and just not having, there's not enough for her to do right now. You know, that's not your purpose. Don't be distracted from it. Yeah. So there we are once again. Again, you know, really humbling. This has been really, really humbling. So, thank you. Thank you once again if you got this far. And thank you with all my heart, again, to Queen Auset and to Victoria. Thank you again with all my heart to Queen Auset and Veronica Rose for creating this and for inviting, and for the opportunity to step outside of my own conditioning and my conditioned perspective, because I need that. I think we all do. All right, everyone. I really wish you a blessed time and a beautiful start to the new year. And I'm sure I'll be back with something else relatively soon. Bye.